Chapter 11. Journal entry. Friday, November 3rd. I can't believe Otero's test. The G4s handed out the question sheets as soon as the bell rang, by color, which meant we oranges got the questions last. Full of impossible multiple choice and true-false, and even essay questions. It was so hard and long I didn't even finish. But others did. When I looked up, about 35 minutes into the test, blues and dark greens were leaving in droves. They seemed to find it easy. How come? I asked when we gathered outside the classroom afterward. Could they be smarter? Juan snorted. It had to be rigged, Adam said. Otero's trying to teach us one of his little lessons, probably trying to say that poor people and ethnic groups don't test well because of language problems and cultural differences. Of course, he was right. Success in school does depend a whole lot on test taking, which doesn't make me feel better, considering I expect to fail. Sue lost the baby. I learned of it when I reached home. She answered the phone in such a dead tone that I knew right away. No, please don't come now, she said. Deo's here, and I just want to be quiet. Tonight, if you like. I'm going back to work Monday. It will be good seeing that... Her voice trailed off as if she couldn't bring herself to say, children. I hung up and sat for a long time, just staring out the window at Mama's garden. My throat felt tight with tears. It took a long time to find positive things to think. That Sue was young and could have other children. Small consolations. When Mama and Papa reached home, I told them the news. Mama nodded and went immediately to fix supper. It will be hard for them, she said quietly. No matter how many children they have, they'll always wonder about this one, the one they lost. Papa went to the sink to wash his hands as usual, then sat down at the table and picked up the newspaper. We should go over there tonight, I said, watching Papa and growing angrier with each second of his silence. Yes, Mama said. You're not fair to Sue, Papa, I burst out. It was so uncharacteristic for me to raise my voice that Papa looked up and his eyes grew big and dark. Before he could stop me, I raced on. Hideo loves her. Can't you see it in his eyes? Don't you care that she makes him happy? I wiped tears from my cheeks. She needs to know that you accept her, that you like her, and maybe someday may even love her. Can't you open your heart a little, Papa? Can't you? That's enough, Emiko, Papa cried. Quite enough. The egg doesn't tell the chicken how to act. Papa, I cried, then closed my mouth and lowered my eyes at the warning look on his face. Mama turned away, busying herself at the stove. It was hard to love Papa at this moment. Though I'd grown up without many words of love, without much touching, at least from my father, I always knew that deep down he cared. But now that wasn't enough. He needed to show something of his feelings. Sue came from a family in which words and gestures of love were part of every day. She thrived on it, and she gave it generously. Maybe that's why she made Hideo so happy. Unable to let it go, I said, What can we do for her, Mama? What? Papa shook his head in annoyance, put down the newspaper, and strode from the room. I supposed he would run off to his workshop, his hideaway from the world. Mama wiped her hands and came to the table. She touched my arm. Come with me, Emiko. I want to show you something. I followed Mama up the stairs to her workroom. It's where she sews and does bills and writes letters to our big family in Hawaii and Utah. Once, she showed me some haiku she had written, hands trembling as she offered the pages to me. I don't know if they are any good, she said. They were beautiful poems, whole scenes compacted into a few words, full of feeling, perfect miniatures. She had flushed with pleasure at my delight. Mama went right to the carved black and gold chest that had come over from Japan with Grandpa, and opened it. She lifted several things out of the way, then removed 2 packages wrapped in brightly colored tissue paper. "This I made for the baby, and this—" I brought the packages to the small couch and sat down to open them. In the first, I found a mobile. Origami birds in brilliant colors, suspended by string from a smooth wooden rod, something Papa must have made in his workshop. My throat tightened. They were so like the mobile Mama had made years ago to hang over my bed. I seemed to recall the sunny bedroom of my infancy, and the many hours when I watched with wonder or reached for these colorful birds who flew above me with each breath of wind. Mama watched anxiously as I opened the second package. It contained a tiny pale green sweater, cap, and booties. Tears came to my eyes, and then Mama said, "Come with me." Wondering what more she had to show, I followed her into her bedroom. There, on a black lacquered table near the window, stood the bonsai in its earthenware pot that has been in our family for 200 years. Bonsai is an art form passed down from father to son. The plants are pruned and fertilized so that they grow in dwarf versions of ancient stately trees. Our family's bonsai was special in that it consisted of not one tree, but a grouping which suggested a wooded mountainside. I looked to Mama questioningly. "Papa planned to give this to Hideo when the child was born. I think now he will give it to him anyway." Mama's eyes held mine, and I understood more in that look than words could say. I went to her and put my arms around her, and we stood that way together for many moments. Hideo answered the door to us that evening. He looked so drawn, so strained, as if he could hardly keep control. Without a word, I embraced him, and then Mama did. Papa, behind us, carried the bonsai. Hideo greeted Papa. Then his eyes fell to the plant. He took a deep breath, and his glance returned to Papa. Then he rubbed an eye and said, "Come in, Sue's in bed. I was just making tea." Mama started taking off her coat. "I brought some cakes. I'll fix the tea. You all go in to Sue." Hideo brought me and Papa into the bedroom. "We've been having an argument. Sue thinks she can go back to school Monday as if nothing has happened. I say she should stay home a few days at least. That's what the doctor says, too. I can't. Don't you understand? I feel so useless, so empty." She sounded all choked up. "I'll be all right. Just let me get back to work." "You will not go to work." "That's my decision, Hideo, not yours." Papa had quietly placed the bonsai on the dresser, but Sue had been so intensely involved with Hideo that she had not even noticed. Now Papa stood at the head of the bed. "Hideo is right. You must take care of yourself, for your own sake, as well as his, and for all of us who care." Sue opened her mouth to speak, then her eyes closed, and tears slowly slid down her cheeks. Hideo took her into his arms. When she finally gained control, Hideo said, "Look, honey, what Papa has brought us." Sue wiped her eyes and blew her nose as Hideo brought the bonsai to the bedside table. "It's beautiful," she cried in awe. "So beautiful." Eyes sparkling with tears, she looked at Papa. "It is a small piece of Japan to remind you and Hideo of our heritage," he said. "When your son is born, Sue, and you will have a son one day, he must learn from Hideo how to care for it, so that he, too, can pass it on." "Oh!" Sue exclaimed. "Oh my, I'm going to cry again. Thank you. Thank you so much, Papa Sumoto," she whispered. Mama bustled in, smiling, carrying a tray with teapot and cups and a platter of luscious-looking sweets. She poured the tea, and soon we were all talking and laughing, like a real family. And as we left, Sue's eyes were shining again as she looked from the bonsai to Hideo and to Papa. When I lay in bed later, thinking about this evening, I felt different somehow. It was good to be who I was, part of a rich culture. Good to be Japanese.